All right, Ivana Taylor here, and I want to welcome you all to session number 3 of our DIY Masterclass with Shawn M. Miller, the guru and authority on becoming a CEO celebrity. So I'm going to introduce Shawn, and as you guys can see, we've got a panel down below of all kinds of experts who are going to be talking to us. You guys have met Scott before. He's our golf pro. We have Nicole with us, and we're going to get to know everybody a whole lot better. Kellen Flukiger, and we have Brad. Hello, Brad. Everyone's here right now. Most people are muted because I'm going to turn it over to Shawn. Hey, Shawn, why don't you summarize session 1, 2, and bring us into session 3? Why are we here? What are we going to get? What are we going to learn today? And maybe you can introduce our panel.
Yeah, hey, Ivana, thanks a lot. Hi, everybody. Shawn Miller from snowy Holland, Michigan this morning, but thriving right in my Shark Tank here, as you can see. Excited to be back. And, you know, Ivana, we're addressing entrepreneurs, right? So the business owners and leaders who have an entrepreneur spirit, who are wanting to make a big leap with their business, but they're dissatisfied because they feel like they're wasting money with outdated branding strategies that it really prevents them from commanding what we had called an unfair advantage, right? And all that framed in the Celebrity CEO model, which is our business acceleration system, and that provides people with the ability to powerfully reposition themselves and their companies with the same magic allure as the Shark Tank style celebrity entrepreneurs, which are leveraging their personal brand as well for new streams of celebrity expert income. And all the sharks are doing that now. You may see them doing this. So this is completely unlike a traditional advertising or traditional PR bend. Those people really hold you hostage to the same strategies as an industry. All the competition are doing exactly the same thing. And of course, that gives you no opportunity to really, leverage that #1 celebrity expert position at all. So there's a really exciting thing that's happening in the marketplace today with this celebrity entrepreneur position, and what that does, to summarize what we talked about, what that does is we're creating a combination that allows us to overcome the marketplace axis of evil. And Kellen's on the move, so Kellen's dominating the screen, but I'm down here, and I'm sure you can still hear me. He's mobile today, so Kellen has joined us mobilely. But what we've got to overcome, Ivana, we've got to attack and overcome and fight against this marketplace axis of evil. And we talked about that before. It's distraction. Right? Prospects are so overwhelmed with media and busyness and their mobile phones and everything that's going on that we have less than 9 seconds today to capture their attention, and that's in the scope of about 8,000 marketing messages that they're seeing a day, but they're only going to take about 80 thoughts captive. So we must be one of those 80 thoughts if they're an ideal prospect. So we have to fight distraction. And we have to also fight this competitive pressure that we're all business owners on the line, and we're all facing a competitive pressure where there's price pressure. We feel like we're not able to elevate pricing in many cases, but there's this constant value pressure. We're trying to differentiate by adding value, and we call that the abyss of better, right? And we talked about all this pressure to be better and better and better, but without changing our top line revenue. And we really, if we feel like we have no capacity to do that, then we just get squeezed. The profits just get squeezed over time. And the last factor was commoditization. And commoditization is this feeling of sea of sameness, in which everybody's following the same advice, doing the same strategies, and all of their marketing and PR and all of their output for their companies looks the same as all of their competitors. And so that leaves us with only 2 options. If we're running the business, we have 2 options if we want to grow. One is entirely viable, probably not for those of us watching, but we could have the largest marketing and advertising budget in our entire industry. And that would allow us to be the dominant position. Probably if you're watching this, you don't have the capacity, you're not Procter & Gamble or Coca-Cola. So the other option that you have is to be just freaking fascinating, such that your clients are just, you're completely differentiated by your story and your position. Ideal clients and raving fans are actually following you because of your persona. This is a celebrity status of entrepreneurs that can be capitalized upon today, and it's a complete game changer, and it's a big trend. We can talk more about it. If I'll throw it, Ivana, I'll let you facilitate a second.
Well, thank you for that. That's great. Thank you for that summary. I think the biggest concern I have right now is I want to make sure that every small business owner gets that this is relevant to them. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a Main Street business owner or whether you are a service professional, regardless of where you stand in the overall scheme of small business, one of the things that you mentioned in the very first session, I think you talked about it as Milgram's Law. This is getting lost in the sea of sameness, and given if we don't know why to choose you, we're going to choose the most popular one, the one that's going to be perceived as the expert and the authority. And like I said, I'm in these conversations all the time, and I see lots of business owners really focused on the production of their business or on the actual content of their business and not the context of their business.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah,
so why don't
you're spot on, and they're completely missing the boat, which is normal. Most people miss this opportunity, but at higher levels of income, you will be paid infinitely more, Ivana and viewers, for who you are than for what you do. What you do only accounts for about 15% of your success in business, and most of us spend all of our time focused on doing that better and building certifications and position and in the tactics and how we do things. Meanwhile, someone with a bigger, better, more powerful persona just owns us in the marketplace, and that is human nature, as you said. There are laws of human development that we can apply to that. Milgram's Law being one. Milgram proved in an economic theory that once a market leader is identified, that your ideal prospects will stop looking. And the other law that we talked about on the first show was Ziff's law, which we also leverage on the authority side of Milgram, or the authority side of the pyramid of allure. And what Ziff proved was that the people are looking for leadership actively, and when they find that leadership, they will follow that leadership. They're looking for that. They will follow that. So it's actually really easy to follow the techniques that our clients are using to elevate and claim that position of controlling thought leader of your marketplace, and have ideal clients and prospects just following you and following your advice and following the standards that you set for your business market.
So Shawn, and maybe one thing I'd like you to do is introduce our panel.
Yeah.
And the question I have, I don't know if it's for everyone, but the question I have for myself is, I wonder if people are thinking, well, I'm sort of shy. I don't like being in the spotlight. What do you do if you're shy? If you're not like a, extroverted type of a person?
Well, if I may be blunt, in this economy, get over it and work on it, and take a different attitude, because you're missing a huge opportunity. And at the highest levels of this opportunity, let me try to give you a picture that might motivate you. Why would I do this? At the highest levels of this opportunity, and some of our panelists will talk about this, but picture bringing your spouse on a luxury trip, right, paid for by a sponsor because of your celebrity expert status in your field, and you're going to San Diego or someplace like this, right? And all you have to do is show up on Thursday and give a 45-minute talk to an audience about the future of your industry, leveraging your celebrity status in that market, And oh, by the way, that whole room at lunch is filled with prospects who will then line up for the opportunity to get their picture taken with you at the end of the talk, right? And then you begin to, if you can picture this in your mind, then you're beginning to understand the potential that is here and the status and prestige and the opportunity that comes with being that market leader. So if you're just a little bit shy, let's get over it and take advantage of this huge tsunami-sized wave of opportunity.
Okay, so I have questions for the panelists that's going to help you introduce. It's a super twofer. I want you to introduce yourself, give us your name, the business that you have, and I'd like you to tell us maybe kind of where you were, right, before you started practicing this pyramid of allure process, and maybe like where you are now. And even if you're not at the height of where you want to be, kind of give us that shift. This is how I was before, this is what my business was like before, and this is what it looks like now. Why don't I start right in the middle of the pack with Nicole?
Hi everybody, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. I'm the creator of Discovering Your Brand Story, which is a program that allows women to utilize their past experiences to impact their success and follow their dreams. I recently founded a movement called Lux Chicks, and that's also about helping women create a successful lifestyle so that they can live out their dreams. And I can totally identify with you mentioning being a little shy. I'm definitely have more tendency toward the introverted personality type, but I can also attest to what Shawn was mentioning about getting over it. Everyone has fears about what they might be incapable of doing, but the more that you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, the greater your chances of finding happiness in things that you never thought you could have found happiness in happen. So for me, that's been being able to host my own radio show for 6 months now, and that has been tremendous. It's allowed me to position myself as an expert, to get connected with other great opportunities and individuals within a variety of different industries, and it's just been amazing. And people are now starting to reach out to me for speaking opportunities and have just been praising me with all the great work that I've been able to do because of that.
Thank you, Nicole. That is a great tip for those of us who are a little shy. Boy, you and I, sister, we must have lots going on in common.
Yeah.
People are shocked to find out that I'm really shy. And one of the things I love that you talked about is that you've been doing this radio show for 6 months. That is a great tip. I'm sitting here all by myself behind a computer in my living room, and I love talking to people one-on-one, and I've actually gotten pretty popular by simply blogging and doing a lot of webinars and these kinds of things, and that's a great way to sort of overcome that shyness, right?
Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's head to the other side here. Let's talk to Brad. So Brad, introduce yourself to our viewers today and sort of talk a little bit about where you were before and kind of where you are now using this pyramid of allure process.
Sure, Ivana, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Brad Zales, and I help companies, smart companies, with their 21st century workforce culture, and that includes millennials. And I have to be honest with you, I'm always astounded at how many other entrepreneurs or speakers were shy or are shy, and that's me. I was deathly shy as a child, and there were 2 milestones in my life that really got me over that. And the first one is my father wouldn't let me come in the house one day until I said hello to the new neighbor kid. And I sat out there for an hour, and my father was very strict, very Hungarian. And I finally came inside, and I was so, that pain of sitting there for an hour staring at the other kid, and he was shy too, and I finally said, hello, and he said hello, and I got up and I ran inside. I said to myself, I will never do that again. That was such a waste of time. And the second big milestone for me was I started one of the very first .com companies back in the 90s. And so I went from an entrepreneur to this C-level executive of a publicly traded company. Now I'm speaking in front of investor relations. I'm doing road shows for angel financing, things like this. So I'm comfortable in front of an audience, but it was back then about perfection, wearing a suit and tie, looking perfect, being the business person. Well, after 95-hour work weeks, I decided to step down from my day-to-day obligations at the company, and I started another smaller company and just did that with ease. But at night, guess what I did? I signed up for stand-up comedy lessons. You want to
That's
break
a great tip. I love that.
Yeah. You want to break your shyness? Take improv, take comedy, take acting. And I got to tell you, my comedy coach, my first comedy coach, used to kick my butt about this perfection thing of being on stage and being perfect. And I wound up being a professional comedian for 8 years. I used to open for Lisa Lampanelli. So for me,
Oh, I love Lisa Lampanelli.
so for me, it was like breaking out of this. Yeah. So anybody out there, the only advice I can say is if you're shy, get out there and do something with it. Take an improv class.
I love that. We are getting so many great tips. Okay, Scott seems to be a little busy, so Kellen, why don't you jump in here and kind of give us your story of where you were before and where you are now. Uh-oh, he's muted. Hold on, let me unmute you. How do I unmute you? Why are you muted? Okay.
You talking to me?
There you are. I was talking to you.
I'm sorry, I missed that part. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not shy, but I was a backwards, awkward, clumsy kid all the way through high school, and I had a magical, divine experience my first year of college at 17, which will take too long to tell, when lightning came through the roof, struck my head, blew open my mind, and helped me figure out that I didn't need to live that way. It wasn't quite that visible, but the dramatic impact was about the same. I learned at that moment that I had control of everything. I didn't know how to use that control, so I blew up my life a few times in between, but hey, I was done being shy. So it's actually almost that dramatic, and sometime when we've got more time we can do that story, but we don't have to. So I'm not shy now. People that know me now are amazed that I was the bookworm, read the encyclopedia for lunch, hide in the closet sort of dude all the way through high school. But I was, and unpopular, and couldn't this, that, and the other. Today, I have had a career. What I was doing before was I was a C-level executive in 2 countries, the U.S. and Canada. I had a contract with the Queen of England. I was a troubleshooter for commodity markets and spoke around the world on different stages, ran some stakeholder boards that were full of angry people, and learned how to do all kinds of crazy stuff. I retired from 30 years in commodity markets in 2007, end of 2007, so for 6 years I've been online as a business coach. I have had a recording studio for 35 years, and I'm currently in a group that charted #1 on Billboard with our last release earlier this year. So I've been a performing artist also, and so I have had 40 years as a piano teacher. I've done a lot of acting coaching in the recording studio. I've worked with beginners and Grammy winners, and have spent a lifetime learning how to get awesome performances out of people. So what I do now is I help businesses who want to capture the #1 position online, but the angle that I take is through personal story. If you're not using your personal story, you're leaving all your money on the table. And the reason you are is because, as Shawn has mentioned other times, people can copy what you do, what you have, what you say, and everything else, but they cannot copy who you are. And until you learn to leverage who you are and turn that into your unique value proposition, you're leaving your most important business asset underutilized. So Shawn and I have known each other for a while now, and we've done some things together. And I like what he's doing with the celebrity stuff. I was a celebrity CEO in the industry, and people knew me all over the world in the commodities, electricity, deregulation, and so forth. So I understand that positioning. I have had that experience of, being accorded those kinds of things, and certainly understand the value of that sort of positioning, and it's what I also help teach with my emphasis on personal story and acting, coaching, voice coaching, and all that sort of thing. So that's who I am, what I do. My programs are called Speed to Profit Marketing, and I do breakthrough work also, which is the same sort of thing. It's called Break the Cage Now. So that's me in a very small nutshell, probably longer than you wanted.
No, that's fantastic, Kellen. Thank you so much. So I have a very specific question for Scott. Scott, it's your turn. I hope you're not muted.
No, I muted me so that I wouldn't be in the way.
Okay, good, good, Scott. So I have a question for you. So you have, you're a golf pro. You have a couple shops. I'm very, very curious, especially for those of our audience who are professionals like yourself. Maybe they have a salon, or maybe they have a bicycle shop. I have a friend with a bicycle shop. You've got a golf shop, a sporting goods store, or whatever. Please talk about how you went from just being like a regular guy to being a golf pro that's been featured on television and in print and an author and all that. How did you make that shift from one to the other?
Well, my wife would still say I'm a regular guy. And at a GKIC conference, and I watched Paul Hartunian get up on stage and say, if you're not publishing, if you're not out there getting publicity, if you're not doing TV and radio interviews, then you're not going to have the leverage that you need in your business. So I started that process back in about 2007, 2008 timeframe. And started to study how to send out publicity, PR releases, things like that, and get on TV. And then I discovered I was super uncomfortable with doing that. So, like Nicole said, I had to learn how to become comfortable be comfortable being uncomfortable. And hired a voice coach, and went to a media boot camp where I learned how to interact with the media. And so all that was very helpful, and it's so cool now because, like, just recently I had a new client that they're about me, and he said, well, I saw you on TV, and now this client had a lot of other options. He could have chosen anyone. There's 20 plus golf instructors in my area that he could have chosen to go to, but because he saw me on TV, I had that celebrity leverage, and he chose me, and it was just a no-brainer. He didn't even bother to call anybody else. He said, I saw you on TV, so I just decided to call you. So that was really cool. And now I get to do this as a consulting business to other golf instructors. I get to take them through that process and teach them how to become a celebrity in their own little niche.
Excellent, Scott. Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to Shawn. So, Shawn, we got a lot of great tips from our panel, right? We got everything. First of all, we learned that you do not have to be rock star Mark Cuban. You don't have to feel that way inside to know that that's possible for you, right? As we can see, all our most successful panelists were all painfully shy but have gotten over it, as you suggested. We got awesome tips for getting over it. Everything from doing a radio show to taking improv comedy and acting. And I really like Scott's suggestions as well, this idea of getting help. Right? You got a voice coach, right? You got you might have probably, even if you were sending out press releases and things, you were getting help to make sure that those were structured a certain way. So,
yes,
Shawn,
absolutely. I had training for that, and one thing I forgot to mention is Toastmasters. That's another one that I joined Toastmasters.
And that's a great low-cost way of doing it. These are great, great tips. And what I'm hearing from all of you is that it's not enough to need it, and it's not enough to want it. There's the flip side between who you're being and what you're doing. You have to really decide that this is a necessary step in your strategy, and then you have to kind of take action to get yourself there. So, Shawn, take us to what's next.
Yeah, thank you. Here's the caution that I have to that, and with where we're at with the market and the speed of technology and the speed of the market and the narrowing margins that we're talking about, it's really, I don't want you to spend, I don't want you to spend 10,000 hours learning to do these things like I have. I don't want you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in various coaching and training and conferences, and some of which is good and some of it's not, like we have. That's not necessary today, right? We've distilled this down into a proven processes that works for us and our company, and it works for folks like you're seeing here, and is a proven and predictable process because we've gone through all these growing pains that you hear about from the panel. So it's not necessary, and frankly, in today's world, it's the fast fish that eats the slow. It's no longer the big that eats the small. So we need you to be able to re-engineer your brand position for yourself and your company really, really fast. It's critical. So what we're going to do, Ivana, to do that is we're going to work on that authority position, right? We're going to build that expertise based upon your expertise and what you know and what the viewers know. We'll elevate them very quickly so that they are a thought-leading authority in the marketplace. And as you heard last time, that's really much easier than you thought when you know how to do it. We talked about leveraging the bold prediction, right? And then when we leverage the bold prediction, we leverage traditional media, as you heard Scott talk about. You can become not just somebody that gets opportunity in media, but when you do this well and you do this the way that our clients are doing it, you take a position where you're the media's go-to person. The media comes to you. Right, so something happens and the phone rings. I have an email from Forbes here. They're chasing something and my phone rings. Right, so that's where you want to get to, but you can do it faster than you thought possible if you have the right coaching. We also need to have the right personal branding and posture, in particular today online. And several people talked about this, but we've got to build your position so that when people do their due diligence on you, as they will, that they very quickly get a complete picture that you are a complete freaking rock star. You're absolutely strong, dominant, consistent. You're referenced in traditional media. You're referenced in your own marketing material. You're referenced, and you're obviously a leader in social spaces. And when you do that, it makes them literally, it allows them to make a decision to move forward with you in seconds. And that's not just prospects. We talk about growing the business, but that includes finance. That includes financing and access to capital and bankers. It includes partners. It includes vendors. Right, getting favorable treatment. You were talking about earlier about vendor management. Well, if the vendors see you as they're edified by doing business with you. They're excited by your very presence. They're grateful to get to connect with you. You're going to have a better opportunity. You're going to have better terms. You're going to have better options. And if things go south a little bit, you're able to make a few phone calls from your posture as a celebrity CEO and business leader that allow you to get some special accords. This is also very realistic for those. We've got some solopreneurs on the panel here, but this is very realistic and very important as well in terms of talent attraction. And I'm sure Brad might comment to this, but having a powerful personaed leader who has that celebrity brand status is able to attract top talent much easier than a nameless, faceless, big corporate name. So this plays out in many ways in many different companies and styles and companies in a very powerful way. Did I answer that properly?
I think you did. So I think I want to bring some more additional context to the conversation for our audience. So we talked earlier in this whole thing, we talked about becoming comfortable with being a celebrity and sort of all the different tips and things that our panel took to feeling comfortable in these shoes that they're filling for themselves, right? Now, today's session is all about posturing. So Shawn, what is posturing and how do you know if you got it?
Posture is there's a lot of ways that posture is displayed, and there's many ways that we work with our clients, and some of them are very subtle but very powerful. Earlier this week we were working with a client who was preparing to make a pitch presentation to a group, and she had not done this in that way. And for example, what she did was she introduced herself and she says, "Thank you all so much for coming." And that's the common thought, right? Well, I thank the audience for coming. But what she did in that moment was she gave the power in the room to the audience. So we changed her posture by having her come in and say, I'm so glad I have the opportunity to be here. My time has never been in higher demand, and I'm grateful to have just a few minutes to be able to share this very powerful information with you. And in doing so, she changed her posture, changed frame control, changed the context, is the word that you just said, changed the context of the room so that she was in control. And that can happen in many ways. So we talked before about positioning of bios and relevant information so that you're hitting highlights and hitting things that make people want to move forward with you very quickly. Most of our clients, when they come to us, for example, their LinkedIn profile is a full resume, and it shows when they went to community college, and it shows, you know, when they got their first job selling widgets for somebody, and it's completely inappropriate for their status and their position today. And it actually really damages posture because people don't sum that up and see you sitting at the top of it. They take it and they average you, they regress you down to the mean of what you're seeing. So we want to always be in control of how we are appearing so that we appear powerful and confident, and people can very quickly make a decision to move forward with us or not. We also talked a lot about having real clarity in not only in what we do, but who we do it for, right? And establishing strict vetting criteria so that those clients that they know who is a candidate for working with us and who is not. And those that are an ideal candidate well, gosh, that's me, and they'll want to move forward and they'll want to call them. And those that are not will vet themselves out. But by restricting access to us, that is a very powerful way in which we control. So we have a very strong vetting criteria and celebrity CEO model, and that's very, very important. And all of you watching and all of our clients do too. So our clients, example, always have a strict entrepreneur. They always have an optimistic entrepreneurial mindset. They have and a bent toward promotion and sales. They have a commitment to making a massive change in existing business, and they're not held by sort of how things work around here mentality in their business. They don't have to be outgoing and a trained actor or comedian like we talked about, but they have to be willing to learn to be great on camera, great on stage, great in front of their ideal prospects, and great in the media so that they can leverage that celebrity brand status. They need to be committed, in our case, they need to be committed also to being a case study for our company so that they can share what they're doing very, very quickly. And they also, lastly, they need to be immune to criticism. They need to understand that success and criticism, especially in the public eye, come hand in hand. So as soon as you begin to declare and elevate and leverage that celebrity status, somebody's going to come around and say, who do you think you are? Probably a competitor. And you've got to be committed to not freaking out when that happens and getting scared, but understanding that when that happens, that means I'm onto something. That means I'm changing waves in the market. I'm standing out, stepping up out of the sea of sameness. And that criticism and success go hand in hand, and it's a great indicator that you're moving in the right direction and creating with it a powerful allure.
That's awesome, Shawn. So, one of the things that you said that I thought was also a fantastic tip is that you can, next time you do a presentation, the next time you've recorded a webinar or something like that, definitely a great idea to have that transcribed so that you can see what you said, because I'm sure that poor woman would have never even noticed it. Like you said, it's the most obvious thing to say, but when you see it written down, you can find those places where you can enhance posture. So that was a great tip you gave about how do you begin a talk. Make sure you've got that set up for some posturing, right? What are some other great tips you have for posturing?
Well, that's a case where she's doing what would seem to be nice, but she was giving away her power, right? So we've got to command a powerful. The other thing is imagery, right? That was language. The other thing is imagery, and we want to appear to be skilled and professional, of course, but anybody can have nice photos and nice imagery. So, you must have nice imagery. You've got to look great, and we have specific photographers and things that we work with, so our clients look even better than most. But you've got to at least have really nice imagery. But the next level beyond that is the ability to appear in commanding images and appear it as a leader. And remember Ziff and Milgram, we talked about earlier, when people are looking for leadership, if we were able to stand and appear as we're shown in imagery, that we are a speaker, we're a leader, we are commanding others, that makes us a very, very attractive to people in what would seem like a magic way, but it's not magic at all. So we've got to control our imaging, and we have the opportunity to produce and to display a more powerful image than most people recognize possible. And that needs to be consistent, especially in the online world. We can't have tired old stuff hanging around I haven't updated that for a while. Everything needs to be cutting edge, consistent with your current brand, looking good, and that has to be congruent across all social media channels and everywhere that you appear online. It's necessary.
So I have an imaging question, right? So I know that there's a real popular image that a lot of experts have, which is, speaking at TEDx or, something like that. What are some other, let's say you're not a TEDx speaker, let's say you're something else. What are some other great posturing images that people can use?
Well, I think it ties into your personality as well. Right? It has to be congruent with your look and personality, and there was a couple people on the panel that do this really, really well, right? And Scott referenced that he positioned himself in imagery on television, right, with screen grabs of him being interviewed on television. So it's not a very good picture of Scott. He's kind of off on the side in the background, right? But the reality is it's clear that it's him, and it's clear that he's on television. So that's a great way to posture. Nicole has her luxury imaging, right? So she appears in imagery very, very polished and powerful and very, very prestigious and high class, and that's congruent with her. Kellen is an example. Kellen, with his break the cage, and Kellen is, if you can't tell, is a very intense dude, and there's a picture of Kellen that I love where he's just right in this, his eyes just go right through you in the screen, and for some people that would be that would be terrible for them if it wasn't congruent with their personality. But in his case, it's piercing and it's very, very strong. Right, and I've seen Brad is a lot of a public persona. He's quite often on stage. He's a best-selling author with Liquid Leadership, and he has that sort of classic posture in the front of the room, in front of the audience, with the headset, and it's entirely fitting with his style and his persona. And there's nobody more fun to sit and have dinner with. But when he's up in stage in that space, that's his element, right? So, and that's, I think there's ways that we modify that to each client so that it's consistent with their message and their style and their personality. Because, as Kellen said very intelligently, the one thing that cannot be copied is also the easiest and most powerful point of differentiation, and that's you and your personality and your personal story.
I love that. That is an absolutely fantastic tip. So we talked about, there were some other elements of posturing. Before we go, I'd love to get some more tips that people can have that helps them to elevate their brand and position themselves as the authority. Is there anything else that we talked about? You said we talked about imaging, we talked about language, what, physicality? I don't know what. I loved your example of using Kellen. That was great because it's, even though he is a speaker, there is something about how he runs his shows and how he does his videos that's very, very commanding. It's great.
So can I jump in here for a sec, Shawn?
Do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so everything Shawn has said, I agree with 100%. But I'm going to take it really down to a simple level for people that are watching it. There's two elements. Element one, figure out exactly how you want to be perceived. Okay, so all of the stuff that Shawn talked about in imaging and how you stand and how you look and whether or not you own the space and whether or not you exude power or approachability or all of those things, you need to decide intentionally and precisely how you want to be perceived, first of all. And second of all, you need to practice it and be it until it is who you are. Because if you're acting, that will take you a little ways, but at the end of the day, you will fall short in high-priced programs. You will fall short in big-ticket items because it is not authentic. When you can be the persona that you want to be, and it is authentic to who you are and what your message is and what you're trying to help people do, then you can run high-ticket programs. The first time I sold a $10,000 single day, I used to price VIP days at $10K, now they're more. But when I first sold my first $10,000 VIP day, it scared the crap out of me because I had not done it before and because I didn't know if I could own that space authentically and, make that credibility. And so after having done it, a number of times, it became who I really was, and my ability to know confidently that I could provide awesome value in a 10-hour day for somebody was off the charts. And so then I could project that, but it was who I was and I didn't have to act. If I have to act, then at the time of delivery, I will be weak, I will not be confident, and the client will wonder, what the heck did I do here? So it's got to be practiced. Decide what you want, practice it until you own it, and it is your authenticity is the key to all of these tips that Shawn is giving, or they won't work.
Oh, that's great. And, I have to jump on something because I've worked with more than my share of clients who, I think Kellen mentioned the word credibility. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with people who are amazing, brilliant people. But let's say they haven't been the CEO of a multinational corporation, or, they haven't run a $10 million business. Maybe they were an expert, an employee, a technical person that wants to step into an expertise, and the first thing they say to me is, I don't feel comfortable, I don't have credibility. Maybe some of them don't have a college degree. There are all these different things that people say to themselves that limit their credibility. So if you don't think you have the credibility, where does it come from?
If you don't think you have the credibility, you don't. So the first thing you have to work on that is figuring out how to get it in your mind. Because until you have it in your head, you don't have it anywhere else. So the first thing I do with clients like that, and I've had a boatload like you have, Ivana, that fret and cry and gnash their teeth over this credibility thing. And what you do is you figure out what they are really good at. And just by asking the right questions, you can dig around until you find the thing the person lights up about. And they stop worrying about that credibility because they're just producing from that place of genius, from that place of power. And after they've talked that way for just 3 minutes, I stop them and I ask them about the feeling they have right now. What is that thing you're feeling right now? And because they're bubbling in this, it's just, and they're all cool, right? And then you reference that feeling and you say, all right, that is your ownership. You own that space. And until you own what you're trying to do like that, or maybe that's the very thing, and you try to steer the conversation there, so they have the opportunity to both talk in their expertise and the opportunity to see what that feels like, to own a space with absolute confidence in a non-pressure situation, because you're being, at that moment, a gentle coach. Sometimes you might have to rip heads off, but not at that moment. And so you do that in a way that allows them to experience that feeling of comfort and authenticity and power at the same time, and you teach them to recognize and then develop that. That's what I do.
That's great. Anybody on the panel maybe have the credibility issue that yourself and how you overcame it?
Can I jump in, Ivana?
Absolutely.
Kellen, I love what you brought up about bringing clients into that space, because I understand that, and I also have seen that transformation with the clients I've worked with. And you may be watching and wondering, how do I get to that point where I'm comfortable with something? And if you haven't experienced that, you might not have found it yet. So I think that's, when there's a problem or something, a solution isn't coming up, you first have to recognize, like, what the thing is that's holding you back might be. And so anyway, I just thought that was really valuable that you brought that point up, Kellen.
Excellent. So Shawn, we have talked about so much today. What do you want to say to like bring us all back on the same page and send us off, because we're not doing any more of this. This is it. What you see is what you get.
Absolutely. Well, this is a huge opportunity, Ivana. This is really the opportunity to take command, right? Take command of your story, take command of and control and leverage your personal brand, which ties fantastically to the social trends of celebrity status of business persons today, right? It ties perfectly into that, and there's a huge economic benefit to this. This is the way to quickly re-engineer. By quickly re-engineering your personal brand, there's a huge economic benefit. You can really take claim to that 85% of where revenues come from and drag your business up with you to that level. And there's also, as we talked about, a significant personal and family economic opportunity and benefit too, in terms of the opportunities to produce new streams of income and new access points and new opportunities that are never had. This is a huge, really significant economic benefit. This is the most powerful thing that I have found in what's happening with our clients is just unbelievable. And the technology today, it allows us to leverage all these things and to implement these strategies so much faster, right? When we do the celebrity social branding package and we lay these things out and we teach people how to publish their information powerfully on the online digital space, just like you're doing, and leverage those opportunities to connect right into people's lives all over the world, leveraging the latest technology, we can do this so fast. So with all that together, we can climb that pyramid of allure very, very quickly and take claim to that combination of influence and access that we talked about with the Shark Tank celebrities, and what you see here is happening on the panel, and we see in economy right all across in business today. So it's just a huge. We're so excited about what's happening, and we did have some path for you for those that are watching to come forward, and we may have some more questions from the crowd today, I'll bet, as well. But if folks want to come through and forward and see where they're at, we had offered the Celebrity Entrepreneur Predictability Index, which is sitting at ShawnMMiller.com as a path, and you had a link for that, Ivana, to take them directly there. So that they can measure their status in these areas and where they're at today, and get some great advice into what the movement would be that would take them up to the highest levels, right? Right.
And I'm going to post those links up there again. I do want to bring some comments in. Manny St. Victor says, this is an excellent point about LinkedIn frame control and this idea of vetting candidates. So Manny loves that. And we've got, Manny also likes your picture, Shawn. I think a lot of people, this is, I guess what I want to say as we wind up, and you guys are going to have all the links and everything, I don't want the point to be missed that we are, there's an important trend going on, so I'm going to throw my bold prediction out there, right, which supports yours, of course, and that is that we've been living in an age of skepticism. In other words, people just plain don't believe you, and if your mouth is moving, you're lying. So I don't know how else to get the point across that in a world of sameness, as Shawn is talking about, you've absolutely got to hold that authority position, and you guys have a whole process for that. This little, your what is it called, a performance index, is going to help you see where you stand in that. Do you have, and Shawn's going to post up any additional information that people are going to need. So if you'd like more information on this, Shawn, if people want more information, where do they go? I'll have the links for them, but is there like a site or something that people would want to tune into?
Yeah, absolutely. And Ivana will get you those links. She'll take you through the information that's on ShawnMMiller.com. She'll also have a link to the CelebrityCEOModel.com. And on Celebrity CEO Model, you'll see just what our clients are doing and how they're doing it and how fast they're able to do it, right? And how fast are they able to build that posture, build that celebrity personal branding, and claim and take the advantage of that personal status, to where, as we said earlier, it's amazing what happens to your business and how your confidence is elevated when the media comes to you. Right? This is really a game changer when the media comes to you, and we can show you exactly how we've been able to do that and how folks like Scott are able to do that. Right? When local media in West Michigan wants somebody to talk about golf, Scott's phone rings, right? And that's a powerful position. And you heard him say, right? The client said, "Oh, I saw you on TV." Therefore, right? Even though we're skeptical, well, I saw him on TV. Therefore, he must be the best golf professional, right? There's no question, right? It completely changes the game with the speed with which a client will do their due diligence and decide to move forward with you. It's a complete game changer. So the other thing to build that confidence and what we do with clients is we work very specifically on pitches so they understand who they are, what they do, how they do it, and who the ideal clients are and who the poor clients are not, right? And when you get clarity on that and you can message that, it really elevates confidence and clarity and makes you much more powerful in the marketplace. So we'll leverage that. We'll also teach you how to leverage new access to new networks and new opportunities. And what happened? How can you do that? And how can you use that in terms other than sales, right? How can we create new opportunities, new accesses to capital, new accesses to partners and investments, new access to new markets and alliances and potential that you probably never even considered before. And that's why we say that's only for an entrepreneur that's really ready to make a big leap. Right? If they're not ready to play big and make a big leap, it won't work for them. Right? These are all complete game-changing, paradigm-shifting stuff. We'll understand who those ideal, most powerful, and highest-paid clients are, and we'll vet them to that standard, and that will only add to your allure. We'll implement those processes. We'll also leverage that personal branding and leverage that authority position to create lead magnets that are really, really powerful, so that when you want to turn on the spigot of new business for your business, you can turn on lead magnets leveraging your persona that moves people very, very quickly. And then we'll teach you how to use that persona so that you're able to close deals much faster, and you have so much power because of the control that you have. That kind of sounds a little evil, doesn't it? But it's an unfair competitive advantage, because when you're vetting clients to your standards and you're putting out that powerful position and persona, and they know before they ever talk to you that they're in or they're out. But then when they talk to you, because of the persona and the image that you have, they're excited. They feel edified with the opportunity to connect with you, and they're able to make a decision to move forward really, really quickly. So I'm able to close high-end sales now in 15-minute consults, where it used to take hours, right? It used to take me hours, and it's all based on that leveraged persona position. So those are all things that we do with our clients and in our systems processes, and those are the types of things that they'll have access to.
So how long does it take to go from zero to celebrity on this program?
In the digital world, it doesn't take very long. We can do amazing things in the leverage of technology. We can do amazing things in days.
Really?
Absolutely. You can completely change your entire personal image online in just a few days, right? Such that when you're investigated, when you're checked out, you appear just like, as I said, just like there's no better language. This guy's a freaking rock star. Right? I gotta find out more about what he's doing. You can do that.
But what about the mindset part? I guess I am clear that, and once again, here we go. It's all in the being and not in the doing. The doing, can take minutes, right? It doesn't take much to, like I said, change some logos and upload some photos or do whatever. We all know that doesn't take long. But what's been your experience? And maybe some of you guys on the panel can talk about how long did it take you to step in to the brand position and posture that you hold now?
Well, let me address one thing. We just spent 3 days at a 3-day intensive with a small group, and we were able to work through that positioning and the clarity of brand value and
right.
the powerful position, and then pull that message and that value stream all the way through to an offer. And we were able to make complete changes in people's business positions in 3 days or less. Some of them were fully operational and in the marketplace. So it really doesn't, when you have this amount of experience and practice and these number of clients, it doesn't take as long as you think. But let's see what they say.
All right, panel, who wants to go first?
Hey,
I'm Chump.
Go ahead, Cal.
No, go ahead, buddy. I can wait.
Well, I started when I first moved to Grand Rapids, and within a month, I had named my golf academy the #1 golf lesson destination in Grand Rapids. And of course, the top golf instructor at that time, he contacted me and said, "What? You can't do that." But I just did it. Nobody else claimed that spot, so I just claimed it. And then some other things I've claimed is the Golf Guru, GURU, and the newscast post that up there. They posted as my title is the Golf Guru. So those are some things that have helped. But anyways, back to when I consult golf instructors, a lot of them believe that they need all these credentials, and it's the credentials myth that Shawn talks about. They believe that they have to have certifications and all this to be able to teach golf. But really all you need to be able to do is to help somebody. If you can help somebody and make their life better, then that's good enough for me. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Just go out there and do it.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Kellen, you had something to add?
Well, your question was specifically how long does this take?
Right.
So I do this every time I get a new client in the studio or I get a new Masterclass, somebody who wants to learn how to do jazz improv or whatever on the piano, right? They always say, well, how long till I can, play like you, or how long till I can do whatever, right? And the answer is always inversely proportional to the amount you practice. Mm-hmm. So if you want to take what Shawn tells you or what I teach or what anybody on the panel teaches, and you go home and you want to bust your butt and you want to practice it till you're blue in the face, till you actually own the feeling. It's an emotional transformation. So getting over shyness, all the people that have done that know that. Getting over your fear of public speaking, getting over your fear of being on video, hating the way your voice sounds. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in the studio. Oh, I hate the way my voice sounds. Well, of course you do. You don't hear the same thing everybody else hears because it goes through your head, half of it. There's all kinds of reasons for that. I don't like the way I look on camera. It takes as long as you let it take. It takes as long as you're willing to have it take, because there are two parts. One is a boatload of practice, and that doesn't mean weeks and months. It means intense, focused hours. I can't tell you how many people go do stuff for a few minutes. Okay, I did a take. Oh, that was so hard. I can't stand it. Oh, my word, that was awful. I did a take. Oh, it took me hours to just creep over in front of the camera and then get my nose on it. I know it was awful, but isn't it good enough? And I'm like, dude, no, it sucked. Try it again, okay? And the point is what Shawn said. I mean, out online, if you haven't said anything that people are screaming and calling you names about, you haven't said anything. So that's one. But the other thing is, do 50 takes. Do them until you're sick of them. Do them until you stop listening to yourself critically. Do them until you can actually start feeling the instructions that you're getting from whatever coach you're using. And so that is what it's inversely proportional to, because as soon as that fear starts to go away, then you can at least start exploring the idea emotionally of owning your space. And whether it's Lux Chick or whether it's, a millennial grabbing his cause or whatever it is, that emotional transformation that comes the minute you can actually start for even a minute to see yourself as that rock star expert that Shawn can help you create, and you start emotionally feeling that way, then you can start owning the space, and progress can be really fast. But finding that exact moment of that switch going off is, it depends on the person, it depends on how much you're willing to put in it, and it depends on how hard you fight. I mean, if you are determined that you're going to be, a creep forever, okay, you win. But otherwise, you can find that place, and you can do it inversely proportional to the amount you're willing to put your heart into it.
Oh, Kellen, thank you so much. This was just such great advice, and I wish we can keep going forever and ever. Thankfully, we're not like on a real TV show where they would have cut us off like 10 minutes ago. So I got to thank our panel. I really want to encourage everyone to go take that predictability index. Go check out the Celebrity CEO Startup Program, because if you have had enough of the way it's going, you're going to love the way it's going to go. Shawn, parting words from you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm excited, Ivana. Thank you for having us here, and I'm grateful that we could find the time to get here and to help your audience learn how to monetize their personal brand right now, right? Really, really fast. And I'm excited for the opportunity to work with them and take them to that new level. It's a really, really fun journey.
I don't know if you guys heard all that. Well, Shawn, thank you so much, because my schedule has been so crammed that you were spot lucky to get 3 weeks in a row.
I tell you what, I know it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And next week I have a really exciting masterclass, so you don't want to miss it. I've got Denise Wakeman with me, and she'll be talking about building your brand online. So, hey, if you didn't get enough of this one, you're going to definitely want to catch next week's session. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Shawn. And thank you all for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, Ivana.
Thank you, Ivana. Thanks.